You know what? On one line right now, I believe the gentleman who wrote me the very articulate email about Anonymous, the meme Anonymous, is on the line. Hello there.
Good evening, Mr. Bell.
Good evening, sir. Are you far away from a computer?
I am not, sir.
Okay. We have a little tunnel effect, but actually, you know what? It's perhaps better this way, that your voice is not quite as clear as it might otherwise. All right, look. When you wrote me that, we had a communication, and during that communication, I did not ask you if you were part of Anonymous, and I don't think I'm going to ask you that now unless you want to just cop to it.
The thing about Anonymous is that those who openly profess to be members of Anonymous usually aren't. Anonymous is... The best way I can describe it is Anonymous is a shared pseudonym of a subset of people whose citizenship is the internet. Anybody who has been infected with the Anonymous meme is Anonymous. The only differentiation between an active member of Anonymous and somebody on the net is whether or not they take up the Guy Fawkes mask, say they're anonymous, and then do something with it.
Okay. All that said, in your own mind, is you or isn't you? And you don't have to answer that. You can say, I'm not going to answer that.
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay, cool. I guess here's where I want to begin with you. I want to understand a little bit about Anonymous. For example, targets. When Anonymous decides to hit a target, generally, would you say that these are people who most of the population would view as not necessarily villainous, but perhaps having done something wrong, having harmed or hurt somebody? Is that the kind of target that you go after?
In the past 5 years, that has largely been the case.
Uh-huh.
Early in the history of the Anonymous meme, that was not the case.
Okay, so is there I've listened to a number of messages from Anonymous on the web, and there is a philosophy, and it touches on politics, it touches on the economics of the world, the unfairness going on. Is that fair to say it's all part of what Anonymous is?
It is accurate to say that those are the considered opinions of some Anons who have made it their mission to speak out and occasionally to undertake direct action about those things.
Mm-hmm.
There are other Anons who, quite frankly, couldn't care less. And that is entirely their decision, for good, for ill, or for indifferent.
Sure. So it's kind of it's controlled anarchy? Or uncontrolled anarchy?
I would say barely controlled anarchy.
Barely controlled. Okay.
By and large, Anonymous does. So the thing about anarchy is it doesn't mean there are no rules. It means there are no rulers. And Anonymous does have some rules that most Anons tend to follow.
Right. Right.
One of them is, if you openly profess to be anonymous, then you are not anonymous. Another one is, you don't go after the media. Because,
really? Oh, we are so pleased to hear that one.
Well, we live in a media-saturated culture and a media-saturated world. If it doesn't wind up on the news, it didn't happen. Doesn't matter what it was. Somebody could let off a nuclear device, but if it wasn't on the 6 o'clock news, most people would have no idea.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that.
So because of this, the media is probably the greatest weapon that Anonymous has, because power perceived is power achieved. And if you can convince enough people that you wield power, you have that power, and you can do what you like with it.
Yeah. Is this meme growing, in your opinion?
Absolutely. This is in part due to the fact that cadres of Anonymous occasionally hold recruiting drives, or at least I think of them as recruiting drives, where they seek out new members. They hold what amount to boot camps for operational security, privacy, encryption, how to access any of the anonymous communications networks, how to essentially compartmentalize your life as an Anon from your work life, your home life, your school life, things like that.
Wow.
And also, by utilizing the media as a communications medium and a weapon, the meme is propagated to people who would otherwise probably never have encountered Anonymous before. And some number of people who have learned about Anonymous by watching watching and learning about ops on the news or reading in the paper may have joined.
Mm-hmm. No secret handshakes, right?
No secret handshakes. By and large,
sorry,
you have to.
I had to ask. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. By and large, you just have to have a pretty thick skin. If you don't, give as well as you get, and generally try to treat other Anons the way you'd want to be treated. Mm-hmm. Of course, there were some Anons who couldn't care less about that, but by and large, Anons in the anonymous hive mind tend to sink or swim based upon what they accomplish and how many people that they can convince to help them do something. A lot of people know about the internet, of course. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that there's something deep and dark under what we see as the internet, right? That is the case. In fact, so deep and dark that most friends I have, even the pretty, literate computer users, say, for God's sakes, don't go there. I don't know, what do you call it? The undernet, the darknet, the devil's nest, what? It really depends on on which of these networks you mean. The Tor network is often called the darknet, right? But there are other websites that are on the public net, which would most certainly fit the description. Mm-hmm. The only difference between a hidden computer network and an overt but extremely over the top and frightening website is whether or not you go to it. And there are other sorts of computer networks which could also be said to fit that general description. Mm-hmm. Even if somebody knew how to go to some of the places you described, would it be fair to describe these places for the average computer user as more than a little dangerous? Define danger, please. Not being able to use your computer anymore? I don't know. I need to think about that for a moment. So, for some of these sites... Possibly not caring about your bank balance? I don't know. I'm just trying to present danger here. Perfectly valid forms of danger. So, I think I should take those in descending order of complexity. Sure. For some of the hidden chat servers and websites on the Tor darknet. Yes. I have yet to encounter any sites which are specifically booby-trapped to try to compromise the browser's computer. Uh-huh. It doesn't mean they're not out there. It doesn't mean that no one will try it in the future. It means that in the time I've spent exploring them and actually looking for them, I haven't found any. It is more likely that your average casual user would be hit by a compromised website on what we would consider the civilian or the public net, or would be hit by a spear phishing attack, which would redirect them to a compromised site for that specific purpose. It's true. There's plenty of stuff like that on the regular net, but I would imagine once you get down there, I'm sure somebody like yourself knows how to navigate your way through that, or do you even fear entering that area? There is always fear. The thing about fear is fear reminds you to be cautious. It
That's
reminds
true.
you not to take things at face value, and
True.
it reminds you to trust your intuition. And if your intuition is screaming at you saying, for God's sake, don't go here, there's something wrong,
Right.
you should probably listen to it.
And if it says Uncle Carl has left you $45 million, and don't go there either.
Yeah, don't go there either.
Okay.
Or if you do, fill in the name and address of Godzilla McMurphy at 123 NE Street, Silverdale, California.
That's right. That's right. Is there any reason for the general public to fear Anonymous? Oh, you have to think about it.
Oh, yes. There are individual Anons who may be inclined to make people's lives difficult in the extreme under the aegis of Anonymous.
I see.
In recent years, some of the major data breaches at government agencies, very large corporations, or let's say companies that certainly do not have the best interests of people in general or citizens of the internet in particular at heart, their employees would most certainly be valid targets. One of the things that come to mind are some of the surveillance software companies that were compromised by Anonymous in the past couple of years, where employee records were dumped on the net as a way of shaming the employees for working for companies that sell surveillance hardware and software to whoever can buy it.
All right. Let's see. What else do I want to ask you? What would you want if you were to describe Anonymous to the general public in at least a fair way? How would you describe it?
I would describe Anonymous as a hive mind, and possibly I would describe it as an emergent phenomenon of the first generation of people who were, for all intents and purposes, born and raised on the internet.
Born and raised on the internet. Yes, very good point. Man, that's really incredible. What a world we live in today. I'm simply amazed. And going back to a very important point that you made, you said Anonymous does not go after the media.
By and large, no, they don't. Because
I, for one, am so happy to hear that.
The thing about the media is, if you want to get your message out, you have to at least let the media get close enough to you to take notes and come up with a story of some kind.
Well, that's true. That's true. I did make an appeal on Twitter, and boy, I did get a big response. Not at first, but pretty big response. So I'm impressed. You saw it, did you? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we are being monitored right now? In other words, do you think NSA or whoever monitors this kind of thing is trying to figure out who you are and where you are and what you're up to?
I have no doubt at all. And by the way, hello everyone at Fort Meade.
Yeah, I'm sure they're listening. So I'm not going to hold this very long. I would like to make you my, official information source for Anonymous. I wonder if that's fair. Do you mind being an official information source?
I wouldn't say I'm official, but if I can help somehow, I'd like to.
Okay, how about unofficial information source?
That's fair.
All right. I will call upon you in the future, as the Godfather said. Listen, brother, thank you very, very much. I've always wanted to speak with somebody like yourself. Take care and good luck. I hope the door stays closed and all of that stuff. Thank you very, very much. I think it took a lot of guts to do what that man just did, so thank you, buddy. I'm Art Bell.